Okay, last year I made my first game in the Inbound Shovel game jam. I didn't have any major hopes, my only goal was to make and submit a game, no matter how unfinished it was. This year I made my second game for the Bad Ideas Productions game jam. My goal was to win, no matter how much work it took.
Do you think I have enough code? 18 hours. These all look poopy butt. Look at that. 593. I always regret gambling. I'm already losing my train of thought, bro. That's a bug. That's definitely a bug. Oh boy. I am dying. I'm dead, bro. Publishing consideration. I'm going up against a game where you get to play as a tank that flies.
If you're looking for a tutorial on how to make a game, I'll tell you the process I used and tips along with it. If you're here for a story, oh boy, do I have that to tell as well. I've separated this video into sections so you can skip around if you'd like to. Like with Shovel, I've been following Johnny's content for some time already, though this time that familiarity went back years. I was watching him back when I was a young teenager, came back to his content after he started his game studio, played The Salesman shortly after it came out, and I was looking forward to whatever he had planned next. I wasn't expecting a game jam. I was just curious at first. I was only planning to do the Shovel game jam this year after all, but that changed when he revealed the reward for first place, consideration for publishing. My first game was never really a game, it was a prototype for something larger, Sice. Sice is my dream game. It's a story I've poured my soul into, and for reasons I won't go into yet, getting a publishing deal would give me the freedom to work on it nearly full-time, if not full-time entirely. A year ago, I knew I wasn't going to win a game jam because I was too inexperienced, but that wasn't the case now. I had more skill in art and animation, familiarity with coding. I had a chance. I knew I had to make it count. This is my second game. I am not an experienced game developer, nor do I have an education in it. I took coding classes for Scratch when I was younger, but that didn't go into anything complicated. I'm self-taught in Godot through tutorials and the documentation. But I am educated and experienced in another area, writing, animation, and webcomics, the skills of which are, thankfully, very transferable. So I plan my games like short films. Just keep in mind that this means I lean towards more story-driven games. I'm okay, I go by he, him, and without further ado, here's my formula for making a game. Most art forms require some kind of preparation. Game development is no different. While you can go in blind, having a strong structure to work off of will help you make a game more effectively, and you also won't be running the risk of lower quality. But don't worry if you've already started, you can take these steps at any point in the process. This is where you figure out your pitch. You can use a theme to guide you, you'll have to if you're doing a game jam, or you can go and roll. If you're having trouble, try the what if method. What if there was a game where the NPCs become aware of you using saves? Undertale. What if there was a game where you try to escape from a city where all the humans died, leaving only robots left? Stray. Taking a trope, genre, or mechanic and bringing your own twist to it has been done many times, and that's because it works. If you're following a theme, you can also try looking at the theme from a literal and figurative sense to broaden your options. I already had a story I was intending to use, Size, and a genre I wanted to explore, a turn-based strategy. To tie it to the theme, outside the box, I related it to the protagonist's arc. Lix's biggest struggle in Size is his pacifism. He does everything he can to avoid hurting other people, even in self-defense, but he keeps finding himself in situations that call for it. Not only that, but he's constantly riddled with nightmares that try to make him fight or remind him of what happens when he doesn't. That's the connection. Lix's nightmares try to force him outside of his box, his unwillingness to be violent. Just to be safe, I also reference boxes in some of the enemy dialogue and in the name of the game itself, Vessel, a synonym for box. When I write a script for the game, I write down every scene that I'm going to code in the order they'll appear in. Each section that doesn't have a cutscene is pretty bare bones. I just describe specific sprites and what minigames will be in the section. For games like Lix, I'll put an interactable object in square brackets and reference the response that occurs when you interact with it below, ordering interactables that don't lead to game progression above those that do. For Vessel, I showed tables to show the moveset of each character. Dialogue is pretty self-explanatory, but for cutscenes I might describe specific shots I have in mind. This is definitely a term that's used more commonly in animation. Thumbnail images refer to quick sketches that are used as rough guides for more refined animations. They can also provide an easy and faster way to experiment with composition, but if you're in a hurry, they aren't a necessary step. I make the character designs before the thumbnail stage so I can properly estimate how they look in the composition, but you can just use stick figures if you don't want to worry about proportions until the sketch stage. I did that for the QuickTime fight scene. The thumbnails I used for Vessel are a lot more loose than what I did for Lix because there was a lot less to do. You can see that I focused purely on backgrounds and the main cutscenes, which ended up getting changed a fair bit anyway. But the point is to get your ideas down, even if they're messy. You can always make changes later. With a solid script and decent thumbnails, you'll find it a lot easier to move on to the next part. Scheduling is extremely important if you're working on a deadline or trying to make games more professionally. It'll give you an estimate of when you'll be done, and you'll be able to firmly track your progress. Going from a colorful, busy schedule to a clean, finished one does wonders in helping you feel good about your progress. I got the template for my schedule from this creator, by the way, just adjusted to fit a game format. Keep in mind, a good schedule is one that gives you the room to breathe. If you're inexperienced, you won't be as good at estimating how quickly you can get things done, or how draining they might be, both physically and mentally. This is how my schedule started to look at the end of the jam. I overestimated my ability to code a system and to animate a fight scene at the start, because I had never touched either of them, and I had to crunch to finish everything else at the end. If you aren't familiar with coding, give yourself more time than you think you'll need so you can properly mess around with it. Personally, I learned that I generally need a day to code general things, 2 to 3 days to code complex things, and 2 to 3 days to animate polished cutscenes. This 5-second cutscene took 6 hours to animate, including making the background. Now we can actually start making the game. I'll go over the individual components. This is where thumbnails and experimenting with them will help you the most. Animation is an incredibly versatile medium, and there are many ways you can make it. Because it's such a big topic, I can't offer a lot of advice that hasn't already been stated. Generally, you should follow the 12 principles of animation, and specific tutorials can help you out with things you might be more unfamiliar with, but here are some things that I do to make animation easier. Separating movements with camera angles will make dynamic animation easier to deal with. For my QuickTime fight scene, each camera angle only has 1 to 2 movements. You don't have to animate every in-between, our brain fills in the gaps. Just twinning the first and last frames can create the illusion of smoother movement. My animation tends to be quite jittery, but it still works because I make sure the movement is readable. It can take a while to get the movement arcs looking right, but you'll improve with that over time. You can also take shortcuts, especially if you're on a deadline. In the Lost Arena, a hand appears from the sky and blasts licks, but it cuts to black before you see it happen. You only hear the sound, and then that allows for the reveal that licks took the hit. The other main place I used it was in the QuickTime fight scene again. You might notice that in the transition animation, the background fades from a gradient to just white, and then after the fight, it fades back to the gradient. It's not that noticeable, keeps the focus entirely on the fight, and saves a lot of time. When I say sprites, I mean all the art. Backgrounds, characters, props, UI, all of it. Generally, you'll design your important sprites in the preparation stage, but I'll talk about it here anyway. Your primary concern when designing a sprite should be their purpose. What do they do, what do they represent, and where will they be? Character design is a little more complicated than that, but again, for smaller things, you don't need to put heavy consideration into it. Goopy and Goober are probably 2 good examples. They only have one move that separates them from each other gameplay-wise, but it's that one change that guides their designs. Goopy's move is hand, and Goober's move is mouth. Goopy's mouth is full of poison, so he can't use the mouth move, and he has a hand, so he can use the hand move. Goober has a mouth, but has no hand. I also added a height difference to contrast them further. In relation to Venom King, their design is simpler and smaller, making them appear as less of a threat, while showing that Venom King is powerful and more of a challenge because he has monsters helping him. They're essentially accessories to make him look more daunting to beat. I've always been more of a character guy. I don't have nearly as much experience drawing backgrounds, so it was a little scary to approach when I did. I made things easier by going for a surreal route. This is set in a dream, so backgrounds don't have to make sense, and to make things look busier, I added little ghosts who watch you. I also separate things into basic shapes, use gradients to add more depth, and fill empty space with texture. References will also benefit you tremendously. Idle animations for character spreads can be surprisingly easy. For each of the character idle animations, I simply split up their parts and move them down. The torso moves the least, and everything attached to it moves down a little further. Any parts attached to those parts also move down further, and it makes the animation look less static while not taking a lot of work. I don't have much to say on props, but if a prop is important, you should focus on how to highlight them. This can be as simple as an interaction prompt showing up when you go near them, to as showy as a whole aura surrounding it, to as subtle as the background being made to guide your attention to it. The last thing I'll go over is UI, or user interface. User interface can be incredibly unique, but I recommend keeping it simple at first. Focus on making it in style with the rest of the game, then experiment with how you can change it up. This is the area I have the least expertise in, but I will tell you this. Coding will almost never go how you want it to on the first try. You have to find a balance of telling it what to do and what not to do. Let me guide you on how my code responds in order for Levride to attack Flameclaw. Hello, it is me from the future, here to tell you that I in fact will not be doing that, because when I did, it was just a minute and a half of 1.5 times speed. Nonsense. Instead, what I'll tell you is that games with combat systems have to factor in for a lot of different variables. Do the smart thing and spend your time making modular code so that you won't have to spend more time later trying to wrestle it to do anything different. Sound effects are always interesting to approach. While you can use pre-made sound effects, it might be easier than you think to make your own. Here's how I did. Again, it won't be on a professional level. First of all, you might need to think outside the box. The sound effect where Licks gets up in the licks was made by me sliding my hand across my arm. Most of the sound recordings in Vessel weren't made by recordings. I believe the only ones that were are Leverage Auto Text, which I made by sliding 2 knives across each other, and Licks' breathing when he wakes up, which was made by just my voice. I tried to make other sound effects with my voice as well, but they ended up getting scrapped. These sound effects were edited in CapCut with simple cutting and voice changers. Besides recording sound effects, you can also make them with an audio software. I use the same software that I make my music in, Beatbox. First off, I gave each character a set of instruments to give them distinct sounds. Then I made the sounds based on how I thought they sounded, or if I was lost, based on how they looked, afterwards adjusting it so that it sounded coherent. It's silly, but it works. I resorted to it out of time crunch at first and wasn't happy about the results, but then I played it and realized that it made the enemies sound like Pokemon, further leaning into the monster and fantasy mood. And now I really like it. Music is hard when you aren't familiar with it, like most things. I recommend watching some tutorials so you can get a grasp of some techniques and how to approach it, but honestly, you can kind of just throw things around until they stick. Just aim to make it music that fits your game and you can listen to on repeat. After all, that's what you and your players are going to experience. You also don't need to make a huge selection of music. For Vessel, I made one battle song that added onto itself as the game progressed, then made an erratic variation for the last fight. As someone who has very little experience in making music, it's surprisingly fun, and like with any art form, you'll continue to improve and find your style as you make more. So, what comes after making a game? While you should playtest as you make your game to check for bugs, you inevitably won't get all of them, and there's likely also room for feedback. Hence, playtesters. This can be your family, friends, or random people online. In my case, my younger brother played my game during the process, which is why you can click both the character and their box to select them. Originally, it was just the character, but because he tried to select the box, I added it, so you can just do both. Playtesters should obviously tell you about bugs, but you'll also want to collect critique on every part of your game. It can be hard to identify areas that might be confusing for people that aren't you. Just make sure that you take criticism from the viewpoint of someone trying to make the game enjoyable for people who want to play it. If someone says your game is too hard, you shouldn't always just make it easier. Adding more checkpoints might be the more reasonable solution. I myself got a very baffling piece of critique that my game wasn't enjoyable, but that the player didn't know why. They also said they didn't like my art. Both of those are fine judgments to make on a personal level, but it isn't helpful from a game developer's perspective. You can't cater to everyone's preferences. That's a fact. Going back to helpful feedback, I had the privilege of having a professional game developer play Vessel after I finished it. In Bad Shovel, the guy who ran the first game jam I ever entered. He went the extra length of putting my game on priority and making sure I was in the stream before he played it because I'm a community member, which was immensely appreciated. I'd recommend submitting your own game to his Showcase Saturday collection. He won't get to it immediately because there are a lot of games and he tries to feature a variety of both new and old, but his feedback is worth it. I was able to make a large list of things I'm going to update in Vessel after the jam with many of the things he mentioned. If you don't want your game to be seen, that's completely valid, you can skip the step. Otherwise, your game isn't going to be seen if you don't show it. Trailers are the most common route. You organize a series of clips that show your game. In this, depending on your game, you'll want to show every part of your game in some way. For story, you'll want to show your game's mood. If it's dark but with a sense of humor, you'll want to show clips that display its darkness and clips that display its comedy. For gameplay, the most common theme I've seen is showing the gradual progression of difficulty and each mechanic you'll be able to use. That means taking clips from the tutorial, regular gameplay, and more challenging gameplay, and showing that there are multiple mechanics if that's the case. You don't want to spoil your entire game, especially if it's story-driven, so a lot of trailers will show the later content in quicker clips. Gradually decreasing the length of your clips also creates more tension as the trailer goes on, if that's what you're looking for. For the Bad Ideas Game Jam, because it was run by Johnny Razor, the guy who makes bad game idea videos, you had to upload a pitch alongside your game. I wrote the scripts pretty early and recorded the lines around midway into the project, but I only got around to editing it at the end, and the quality suffered slightly because of it. It's not a traditional way of advertising, but methods like that also work. While most of the other pitches I saw had lower view counts, I had over 1,000, and that's because of another thing that helps: posting content about your game before it comes out. You can do animation trends, mini devlogs, regular devlogs. Posting content generates interest. You will be victim to the algorithm, but the longer you continue, the more likely you are to get some good eyes on your projects. This is the last and most important step. You finished a game. That's a big achievement. You always deserve to take care of yourself, but it's understandable that you might fall behind with that when you're so focused on your game, especially if you're working on a deadline. You might need to take some time off game development to let your energy come back, but that doesn't mean you can't do some with lower effort. Personally, this video is my break. I really like making videos. Scripting, recording, editing, it's a process I've fallen in love with, and thankfully it's not as hard as game development. I promised you a story, didn't I? I could hop straight into how ratings went, but to properly understand my perspective, you need to know how this went down for me. If you can recall, the Bad Ideas Productions game jam went on for 1 month. Now, that sounds pretty great compared to most jams where you only have a few days, especially if you're working full-time. You get the room to make a short game and then make it good. But that changes when you need that full month. Any hour that I wasn't working, eating, sleeping, doing chores, or being too physically and mentally exhausted to do anything, I was working on this game. My sleep schedule became disordered, I went through boxes of Monster energy drinks, my hand was cramping constantly, and my mood ranged from content with my progress to unbearably stressed at the lack of it. I can't overstate this. Do not put yourself under that kind of pressure. Moving past my anti-recommendations, I recorded the last 62 hours I spent on the jam, give or take a few when I was doing things away from my laptop. I actually don't remember anything from that period, so we could unpack my gradual descent into insanity together.
Hello everyone, I am someone who is tired and dying. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I have been working so damn hard. I'm not fully confident that this game is the best that it could be. I want to get this done. I feel like I'm dying every step of this process. I want to say that I can't do this, but I know I can. I can't upload something that isn't finished. I'm just really exhausted. That'll be fun. It's always super fun implementing these things. Always super duper fun and not repetitive at all. I want this to work out really badly, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. I honestly kind of want to give up on the game. I'm gonna lose so bad. I'm not even gonna make it till 50. I'm not. Today's been a roller coaster of emotions.
The rating stage was the most crucial. At the start of the jam, Johnny explained that the judges would be playing the top 100 games, so I had to make it there. I was quite relieved when I found out that only 500 of the 5,000 registered ended up submitting, but I do feel bad for the people who didn't make it. Either way, I still had competition. I could only do one thing: rate and comment under other people's games and hopefully get one in return. I also rated the games of people who rated mine before I got to theirs, it's jam etiquette, and I did get ratings. And they were all positive. People thought it was cool, they liked the art, they liked the references, they said it was polished. I know I had a chance, but I was burnt out. I wanted to rate more games, but I only got around to 24. But I had 23 for Vessel nonetheless, so I wouldn't get a score reduction. Again, I had a chance. I woke up early on the morning of the judging to catch the stream. After seeing that someone else in the jam had seen their results, I scrambled to the site to check what I got. It didn't matter if I got spot 100 as long as I was in, as long as I was above that bar. 155. My best score was in artwork, 91. As of writing the script for this video, the second day of judging has concluded. I'm continuing to watch the streams, and I'm happy for everyone that made it. I'm not bitter, I just wish I could have been one of them. And now, I'll be honest about my real motivation, the reason why I was gunning for that first prize. Hi, I'm okay, and I recorded this video over 3 months ago. I'm going to start by saying that this jam was one of the stupidest things I've ever done. I don't regret it, I think I needed it, if I'm being honest, but it was stupid. I'm disabled. I have fibromyalgia, a chronic pain condition, and I've had it my entire life. At the time of writing this, I've only had the diagnosis for a month. The jam came at a time where I was looking for a way to avoid it while still being able to financially support myself. I entered the Bad Ideas game jam because I wanted the opportunity. Even if I didn't win the consideration for publishing, I still could have ended up in the game collection and gotten my name out. Best case scenario, I might have been able to work on game dev full time sooner than I would have with YouTube alone. As the month continued and I had to work harder and harder, that became my main drive. So when I was left without even a chance of being seen, it really sucked. I started making this video as soon as the jam ended. I wrote the script, edited the recording, and started organizing clips from the videos I recorded. And it was miserable. I watched myself swing from hopeful to scared to whatever else, being in an even worse state while doing so. And then the burnout hit. One editing crisis, another game jam, and an art fight event later, and I'm back. This video has been something else to make, and between the start of that jam to me finishing the devlog about it now, I've changed so much as a person, which is why I decided to cut myself off. This has been my favorite video yet. It's bounced between determined, informative, and pitiful. The original ending was bittersweet, but I don't feel like that does this jam, this game, or this video justice. The Bad Ideas game jam was way too long, but it gave people who otherwise don't have enough time for game jams the opportunity to participate in one. The community is funny, the games were so creative, and the team behind it are cool. Vessel is incredible for my second game, made within a month no less, and I learned the most from it coding-wise than any of the other jams I've done. And this video has taught me how I really want to edit, prepared me to make more videos, and shown me how to make them better. Even if I didn't enjoy every part of this jam, I still had fun.
My body may be built like shit, but my brain is built like not shit. But the Venom King, his death animation, his limbs flip upside down and he gets cracked. Wait, he doesn't, boy, you can see my screenshot images. Oh, look at these. These look sick.
Oh, whoops.
What the?
Look at Lix, the little sad man. Little sad man. Little. He's a 22-year-old man.
This game jam was exhausting, but it gave me a reason to rest when I needed it most and pushed me to finally reach out for help. I'll forever be grateful for that. So I'll end this video with two more things, a clip from the last judging stream, and the final message I left in the original recording of this video. Thank you for watching this, whether it be because you wanted to learn more about games or because you were actually interested in the crazy story behind all of this.
But yeah, that's me and Preg. And then we also got this animation. This is from what was the game called? This is the one with where you like move boxes with your voice.
Have you not seen this one before?
Tempest. Shelf.
Next. They made more.
But I think they had more.
Next.
LeBron.
Yeah, see, there's more.
Up. Hit.
Man, it's taped up! No, man!
Okay, sorry to interrupt the stream, Johnny. I just wanted to quickly say something since this is the last time of the jam. I'm okay, I made Vessel, and on behalf of the community, I wanted to thank you for a lot, not just this game jam. Going from the funny ideas guy to the guy who makes his funny ideas, and then to the guy that also helps other people make their funny ideas, takes a lot of dedication and has been really inspiring to watch. I myself used to be an ideas guy. I could never commit to finishing my stories, and now I've made my second game for these goobers, and I'm working on putting them into a massive project. This jam did come at a very stressful time for me, the same reason why I had to stop making these animations for a while, but I came out of it with so much more experience and confidence that it made it worth it, and I'm proud of what I've done. So the least I can do is finish up these animations as I promised. Should be like one per week so I can still work on my game dev stuff. Have a fun stream, and don't forget that we appreciate all of the hard work you and everyone else on the team puts in to deliver P content for YouTube. Also,
What the heck?
Oh, that was so cool.
Dude, they got us,
All right.
bro.
I'm not
they
sleeping
got
tonight.
us.
I'm not fucking sleeping tonight.
Dude, that was really sweet. I did not. Okay, first of all,
super
I did not expect that. I'm really glad it was wholesome because that could have been really bad.
I was worried for a split second. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't check it either. That was
Oh,
sweet.
that's so funny. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yo, Johnny, serious question: Crimson or corruption?
despite everything I've been through and everything I have yet to go through, I promise you, I will continue to create. Good luck on your journey, stay tuned for mine, and thank you for watching to the end. I may not be bad, but I'm okay.